eating bad food is a form of extinction, self-extinction. Food is one thing that unifies all of us. It doesn't matter what sex orientation you are, doesn't matter what level of education, what color of the skin, what National Geographic, we're all connected with food. I approach food from a very political and intellectual perspective. So I want to understand food in the deepest and the most broadest way, and also the most basic way. So my interest is how political food is, how cultural food is. How does food inform our culture? How does food inform our literature? How does food inform our arts? And how does it inform our health? How does it inform how we organize our communities? Food is the most political thing you ever touch in your life. I love this every day. Every day I'm going to cook, I'll cook. Every single day I cook. I was born in a small village in Moranga County called Nyakyanga. When my mother gave birth to me, walked here, and so this is the place of my birth. In my culture, we say that you're connected to the place where your umbilical cord is buried. So my umbilical cord is buried here, and so this is my roots. This is from here that I grew. And this is where I started my journey. This is where the first food I ate was grown right here. And this is where my journey started. I work around issues of food. I studied political science, anthropology, and culinary. And now I fell in love with this topic of food. And my main focus in food is food literacy. That I'm interested in promoting food literacy as a way of dealing with this global crisis that we have, global and social crisis as we have, which is climate change, youth empowerment, food sovereignty, and food security. Food literacy is not something that you have a choice. It's something you have to do. You have to be food literate. There's no two ways about it. You have to be food literate.
Chef Kabui talks just one language. Wherever you are, he talks nothing else apart from food. And he has been telling us, the family here, that we should eat healthy. And he always says that we do not belong to ourselves. When we are ill, we shall bring everyone on board, and it shall bring a lot of chaos in the family. So he always encourages each one of us, the family members, to eat healthy.
My father came to the high school I went to, Naisili High School in Nairobi, and he took me to a nearby restaurant called Munawar. That was the first restaurant I'd gone to that served 3 courses. It was a very expensive restaurant in that day. It was 22 shillings per meal there. So I had these existential questions with me. Because the kids were making fun of me. They say either my father was dumb or I was dumb. Fellow friends said, if you don't go one day and you go and ask for the money for a refund, we can have a lot of money to have a lot of fun. And I did it one day, and it really bothered me because I couldn't, so who was smart, who was dumb? Either my father or me. My father wanted me to eat really healthy food, and I'm thinking I'm smart. I go eat bad food so that I can have money to have fun. So anyway, so that question there, that existential question, is answered, most answered or dealt with by teaching other children so they never repeat the same mistake that I do. That they'll know that if somebody paid for you to eat healthy food, you should eat it every single time without compromising.
I have come to learn, and I'm somewhere now. I'm not as ignorant as I was there before, and I'm trying to teach others what Chef Kabui has taught me about food. Even come to give lecture to the school that I teach, and even to the teacher. So it's like he does not talk any other language. He talks about food.
You can get the children to think about food. Nobody will ever take that out of them. So if I can get my myself into the kids' mind and say, hey, think about sustainability, think about food just beyond the caloric source of your daily sustenance. But now in the broadest way, even way I can imagine. I'm not telling them what to do. But look, think about it and be creative and be the best you can be. Make it the best as you can be. So that's my most happiest moment. For the children, they'll be consuming for a very long time. So that will have how they consume will have a very direct impact in the kind of world that we'll be having 200 years from now. But when I tasted bad food, started actively and consciously supporting their movement or engaging in activism. That's when I first started consciously supporting the activism towards healthy food, organic farming, organic production, elimination of toxic chemicals, supporting the environment. Now, it's one thing led to another. I have not eaten food that's not organic since 1991.
Actually, people don't like discussing about food. They say food is food. Whatever you put on the table is food. So in every class I go, almost every day, I must talk something about food. Issue of food can be given the first priority because anyway you are whom you are because of what you eat. So if we can bring it to that level, that we emphasize on the same, just like Chef Njathi, without shying off, whether they want to hear or they don't want to hear, you tell them about it. I'm sure we can change our generation.
You cannot be a consumer of food without thinking about the whole process of producing, transporting, and processing that food. That essentially means that if there is any injustice in any of that process, you're complacent to a crime. If we approach food that way, we are highly likely to have not only a just, a well-fed society, but a better world and less issues with climate change and other social issues. Because the way we consume has a direct impact in the kind of society that we have, not only for ourselves, but for posterity. So I was born eating good food, so my taste buds have never been corrupted. So because my taste buds were not corrupted, I've always been an uncorrupted person, a free person. You're born in this world free. You are naked, you don't have anything, your taste buds are free, you had not tasted sugar, you were born free. But corporations and wicked business people know they can make money illegally from you by selling you things that are going to cause you harm and that are going to cause harm to the environment. So for me, I just was never corrupted. My parents were smart enough, they were decent enough, and they were honorable enough to bequeath me their clean taste buds, but also to offer me the opportunity to maintain those clean taste buds for all my life, for as long as they lived, and even provide me with enough education, enough training, enough socialization, that even when I went to the US, I still fought very hard to continue to keep my taste buds from being corrupted. And the best place to get the ingredients is your own garden. No better place. It's the shortest distance to the kitchen. That's very, very important. Then it's the easiest way to get the highest quality. It's very short distance, it's very high quality. But it's also part of you. You grew the food and you've nurtured the food. So to eat it is just a continuation of the whole process of regeneration. So the first thing is have Organic Food Act. When you have an Organic Food Act, you inform or you make it possible to identify how much poison you're consuming. Maybe not precisely, but you have a rough idea. Organic Food Act delineates that because it indicates the amount of food that is in the food that you're buying. So that's the first place to start. So if Kenya ought by necessity push the government to pass the Organic Food Act. After that, the Kenyans should do their very best to grow their own food, either in your garden, and you don't have to have a garden. You can have a community garden, you can have a church space where you can grow food, you can have a friend space you can grow food, you can lease land in and they also, the local government also, that you can push the local governments, if you're in urban areas, for them to create spaces whereby people can have the opportunity to grow food, right? Schools can grow food. So there are all kinds of avenues to get food if people are interested in getting healthy food. Healthy food is doable. It's doable. It's very, very doable if people work as a community. But you can't grow food by yourself only, or just rely on yourself as the primary producer of the food. The best part of African food is in the future, because we haven't evolved our cuisine in the same way as the French and the Italians, from whom we borrow the culinary tradition of a chef, have. So Africa has the opportunity of learning from some of the mistakes and also borrowing from some of the highlights and the successes of the culinary tradition. So my favorite food is always the one I'm creating next. You know, I love a lot of the foods that I've made and I've enjoyed, but I see this natural progression of food that is severely lacking in our cuisine. The cuisine and the way we as Kenyan and African understand food, and as well as other cultures, is that it's a very, very static. You know, if you look at the breadth of stuff that people eat, it's very, very limited. People eat rice, they eat cornmeal or ugali, and they eat flour, bread, or wheat. Those are some of the main starches. Some of the same thing with vegetables, sukuma wiki, cabbage, hardly eggplant nowadays. So it's very, very narrow. My goal is to expand it. And it's just like going to the cosmos on a plate. Afro Futuristic Conscious Cuisine is the embodiment of my philosophy about food. The name Afro comes from Afrobeat, is inspired by Afrobeat, music that was very original music, crafted by Fela Kuti, and is music that had justice at the core of the music. So that's where the Afro came from. Futuristic is that two aspects. People who plan to be living in the future are people who will have to eat a certain way. Eating bad food is a form of extinction, self-extinction. People who are going to be healthier and people who are mindful of the future are more likely to be here in the future. So Afrofuturistic. And it's conscious cuisine. My food is the way I think about, or the way I approach food is very conscious. I'm very conscious of everything. I'm conscious about people who are hurt, potentially hurt by the food, to make sure the food was just. I'm conscious about the environment in the way in which the food was prepared or was grown. I'm conscious about the seeds, because I recognize that also you can have healthy food if you don't have, it all starts with the seed. So, and also I'm also conscious about the inherent power to repair and correct some of the social injustices that have been going on. Racism, sexism, nationalism, you know, just a lot of injustices that we've suffered in the future. We can correct them through food, because people talk more when they're eating food together.